Commence primary ignition.
This is where the fun begins.
Well, what is up, all of you Ugnaughts and Jawas out there, and welcome back to yet again another episode of Mando Talk. And boy, oh boy, it sure has, in fact, and indeed, been a while. You know, we've transitioned to this once a month podcast episode situation, setup, platform, but of course we're killing it on YouTube. I'll just go ahead and say that. Killing it on YouTube, getting out all of these spoiler reviews for She-Hulk, House of the Dragon. DJ's going to be cranking out Rings of Power soon, and of course we're going to be doing some Star Wars Andor weekly stuff too. I know we are only being able to find, once a month to sit down for an hour-long podcast, but on YouTube we are going to be doing those 5 to 6 minute spoiler reviews for the Andor episodes as well. So I did make sure that I wanted to introduce that idea. So subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already for more exclusive content. I know so far I've been kind of taking the reins with House of the Dragon because that's my kind of thing. DJ will be taking the reins with Rings of Power because that's his kind of thing. But we might flip-flop who does the Andor ones because Star Wars is equally our thing. So we might just go back and forward week to week. And speaking of DJ Foster is here at Rebel Scum Texan. He's back. He's your co-host that you've come to know and love. DJ, how's it going? What's up? Share with the lovely peeps. Share.
It's good. A lot of good things. My kid now knows how to play with lightsabers, albeit it's an old cat toy.
That's always a great thing right there.
Roughly, yeah. Oh, always. Yeah, absolutely. This cat toy is roughly this long. It's a lightsaber, so she swings it around. That's fun. She took her stormtrooper with us today when we went and got lunch. So she's got a little plush stormtrooper doll. My wife got her at Disneyland, so that's cool. That's not the cool thing that happened to me, though. If I'm being totally honest.
Absolutely. Go ahead and share away.
This is actually a thank you to Caleb is what this is. Because, and here's the funny, so I turned 28 this past week, last Monday. So I'm 28 years old now. I'm that much closer to 30. My wife likes to round up and just say I'm 30. It's really annoying, but it's fun. But no, yeah, my birthday was last Monday, and Caleb, being the good friend he is, put a little birthday shout out for me on Mando Talks Twitter, and but he did it and he wrote it in the style of all of Mark Hamill's birthday shout outs. Shout out for no particular reason other than for being blah blah blah, all the nice really things. Yeah, I'm not gonna repeat anything, because I'm not that mushy. But anyway, he said, at Mark Hamill, did I do this right? And yeah, Mark Hamill replied, gave Caleb a thumbs up, and gave me a happy birthday, a birthday cake emoji.
Sure.
So Luke Skywalker is vaguely aware he's just fully aware of Mando Talk. He's also seen my goofy face from all of our Book of Boba Fett,
and Kenobi.
Our the Boba festivities. Yes, our
prediction streams.
Yeah. So that is now a thing. So Mark Hamill, if you happen to be listening to this or watching this, thanks, man.
Hey.
I don't know what else to say. I woke up and I just had a bunch of smiles, and I didn't know what else to say.
That's a pretty good birthday present. Now, you did see that tweet the day after your birthday.
I did,
but it's a good little, tying of the bow, if you will. I mean, what a perfect way to wrap up birthday festivities than getting a birthday shout out from the Luke Skywalker. AKA, or not AKA, he's Mark Hamill, and then he's AKA Luke Skywalker.
Or the Joker, super cool. Depending on who you ask.
That is true. I just had a really good feeling about sending that, if I'm being completely honest. Like the entire time, because I put it on. I think I tried to put it on everything. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Mando Talk, on all of those platforms.
Absolutely.
I put it everywhere, and I figured, okay, Mark Hamill's pretty active on social media. I fully believe he's going to see this somewhere. just like they say in Star Wars, except I had a good feeling about this one, and it happened. It happened. It was really cool. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Solo Star Wars story. Makes all the two happen.
I had a really good feeling about that, and very appreciative of Mark Hamill. And really, he does that quite frequently. So shout out to Mark Hamill for taking the time to make fans' days, and he does it not just for DJ, but for many of folks.
He does do it for a lot of folks. I'd be lying if I hadn't tried to fish a birthday shout out from him in the past. I didn't this year.
Well, we got it done.
Yeah, it's weird. My wife was like, "How am I ever going to top that?" And I was like, "You not only can you not, but don't worry about it." And then my dad asked me, he goes, "Okay, how did he manage that one?"
Yeah,
like it was like, because Cameo exists. My dad's aware of Cameo, so he I think he may have thought it was a Cameo situation, and I was like, he just sent a tweet out, and he was like, "That's it," and I was like, "I know, it's nuts, and it's just mind-boggling to me. I can't really,
it's good stuff.
Fathom that it even happened.
It's good stuff. I think there's one more plug we need to make before we get into our topic of this episode, which we are going to reflect on Rogue One, specifically in light of Andor coming this month. As you're hearing this podcast episode, we are officially in the month of Cassian Andor premiering on Disney+, which is certainly exciting. But before Cassian Andor premieres, you're actually going to see myself and DJ make an absolute fool of ourselves on a Star Wars sequel trilogy trivia. DJ, tell our audience about that.
Well, there's this fantastic pod out there called Radio Rebellion, and if you're not following them or listening to them, you need to go give this guy a listen, because he's incredible. Got a great love and knowledge of Star Wars, all things Star Wars. And Caleb and I, we love all things Star Wars, whether it's Legends, new canon, etc. So Radio Rebellion is just one of these other pods out there that's a lot like us. And I got an invite probably 2 or 3, maybe not 3 months ago, like 2 months ago, to be a part of the original trilogy trivia episode. And I couldn't make it work. I was just traveling and I was going to be out of town, so I couldn't do it. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And they said, well, here's what I'll do is the next time we do our sequel trilogy trivia, I'll give you a shout and see if you want to participate.
Yeah.
So he let me know. And then, there was 1 or 2 different people who could or couldn't do it. And I just said, just ask Caleb. And, and they said, just drop in the Mando Talk DMs. I was like, absolutely, and that was a twofold of, I didn't even ask Caleb, first of all. I didn't even ask him if he was busy, because I was like, he's not too busy for this. And so I said, do it. And he said, okay. And basically, I'm the Palpatine in this scenario. And
you're
just chopped
strings,
off,
man.
I did. You just chopped off Count Dooku's head.
I feel like Vader,
but that makes you Hayden Christensen. Yeah, it makes you Hayden Christensen in this scenario. So you should feel very proud.
This is where the fun begins.
It's true.
That did not sound good at all. That did not sound good.
Did you know that that's actually a quote from Han Solo in A New Hope?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. It was
Good
just
stuff.
borrowed. Yeah, and everybody gives
Good
it to
stuff.
Hayden, but it was actually Harrison Ford. Anyway, so
I can't wait for that, though. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be embarrassing on my end, if I'm being quite honest, but it's all good. Good fun.
You know what's sad is I can't remember what day that's going to be.
15th? September 15th, I think.
That sounds right.
Oh, we're horrible. We're absolutely horrible.
You know what? That's the thing is I have only watched Force Awakens at this point, and I need to watch it again probably, and run down some other stuff.
You're beating me, because currently I haven't watched any of the sequel trilogy, but in preparation for this episode of Mando Talk, I certainly watched Rogue One, so I feel like that's a pretty good segue for us to get into tonight's topic, or this month's topic, as we get ready for Cassian Andor. And of course, so I just said, you're going to hear mine and DJ's voice again on that Star Wars trivia podcast on September 15th. We believe it's that date. I'm sure DJ might be trying to figure out what that date is right now.
100%.
But you're also the next time on Mando Talk, on the YouTube channel, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, wherever. The next time you hear from us, it's actually going to be a spoiler discussion of, like, I don't know, the first 3 or 4 episodes of Andor. So yeah, it's time for us to get into this, time for us to share our preparations, our predictions, all things Rogue One, and all things Cassian Andor. So I'll just kind of set up is it September 15th? No?
September 17th.
Oh, September 17th. I apologize for that. September 17th. Mark the calendars. Come and see me and
at
DJ.
5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
There you go. Come and see me and DJ either do well, or in my case, I know certainly I'll do decent, probably. Just decent. But let's get into this.
I'm going to be terrible. I already know it.
It's all good. Let's get into this. So we watched Rogue One. And Rogue One has been out in theaters for this past weekend. They put it out in IMAX with this kind of Andor sneak peek. I have honestly avoided all things Andor now at this point. This is the first time of any of the Disney Plus shows that I haven't read all of the cast interviews. The only stuff that I have watched is the sizzle reel that they released like 2 years ago, the teaser trailer that they released like 4 months ago, and then the official trailer that they released a couple weeks back. That's all I'm going into this show for, and if I'm being honest, I'm quite excited about that because I know nothing. I feel like I know nothing about what could be coming, and that excites me. So this is by far, once we get to the predictions, which admittedly might be one of the last things that we do in the episode, the least confident I have ever felt in predictions, and I'm so happy by that, though, because I think I'm just going to be pleasantly surprised as we go throughout this show. But anyway, Rogue One. We watched Rogue One.
We did.
I just wanted to share some general thoughts about Rogue One real quickly before we get into it. General thoughts. I took notes specifically in light of Andor. You know, I took notes on, okay, how could this potentially connect to Cassian's story? Things like that. But in general, I just wanted to say Rogue One, gosh, I still love that movie. Admittedly, it's not the movie that I throw on if I want to explore or get away into the Star Wars galaxy. Rogue One is by far and definitely not my go-to. And it's probably, since that's the case, it might be my least watched Disney era, at least, that's for sure, simply because it's just such a raw and real and passionate and gritty story that it doesn't necessarily just give you those great and happy feelings to where it's just let me throw this one on in the background. You gotta fully engage and fully focus with Rogue One, and because of that, I think that's why it's the least one that I throw on Disney Plus whenever I get the chance. What about you, DJ? How often do you see yourself watching Rogue One?
I don't actually I can't remember the last time I sat down and watched the whole thing before today.
Yeah.
But having said that, and I've publicly said this many times, Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars film out of all of them.
All of them.
Every single Star Wars
prequels,
movie.
originals, all of them.
All of them.
Fair enough.
There's
our first fair enough take.
I realize that is a hot take, though.
Yeah.
Because it is such a different film. But I personally, my love for filmmaking came from Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's almost like Rogue One was a love letter to the filmmaking fans who also love Star Wars. And that's how I view it. Because Gareth Edwards is an insanely amazing director. Mm-hmm. And you can say whatever you want about the behind the scenes turmoil. I don't care. It's Gareth's movie. Okay. That's the bottom line. That's how I feel about it. But, I love that movie so much. So, but having said that, I don't watch it a lot. And I think it's for some reasons you said. I really have to sit down and watch it. It's kind of like Goodfellas in a way. Like I sat down and watched Goodfellas last week or 2 weeks ago because I hadn't seen it in a long time. And of course, Ray Liotta passed away recently. And it was kind of one of those highlighted things on HBO Max, or Hobo Max, as it's called in my family.
Hobo Max.
And my brother misread it one time and it's stuck. Nice. So,
hey, I was today years old. And when I say today years old, I mean like 2 weeks today years old. I didn't know HBO stood for home box office until 2 weeks ago.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Anyway, carry on.
But it's like that where you get sucked into a movie and you can't help but just sit down and watch it. You know, a lot of people feel like Shawshank Redemption's that movie for them, which I totally get it. But having said all of that, no, my like one I just turn on in the background most often is probably Phantom Menace.
Okay, I'm not surprised by that from you.
No, and I several kids in my church, they know I know the movie. Like
Mm-hmm.
I had because I am a student pastor. I had the kids over at my house a while back, and they were like, they turned it on. I didn't turn it on.
Sure.
So they went to Disney Plus and turned it on, and I'm quoting it from the kitchen while I'm eating a steak. Like I'm cutting up the steak and I'm eating it, and then Boss Nass is talking like, that guy's lines. I'm like, you don't, no, I'm just kidding. But I was like, I love that movie. So, but having said that, this comes back around to your initial thought about Rogue One. It is not the one I typically turn on in the background, but it is my favorite. It has remained my favorite. And there's a lot of reasons I think for that I've shared in previous episodes. So anytime we've ever talked about Rogue One, I've thrown those out there. But something I think really cool, worth mentioning about this past weekend is that Rogue One grossed $1 million this past weekend.
$1 million?
$1 million in this past weekend. And it's a 6-year-old movie that you can watch on Disney Plus or on freaking TNT whenever they do a Star Wars marathon.
I didn't know that. I hadn't heard about that.
I saw it. Someone posted it in a Facebook group. I mean,
really?
I couldn't believe it. And I was like, are you serious? $1 million for a 6-year-old movie. And I was like, you know what? I wish I could have contributed to that.
I'm going to be honest. I think
I was out of town.
This is not me taking away from the Rogue One film.
Yeah.
I think that number symbolizes more so the crave and the need that fans have for a Star Wars movie to get back in theaters. If I'm being honest, that might
be a good call.
I think Rogue One's great, and it's a good enough film to get a lot of people to come out to watch again in IMAX. But if I'm a Disney Lucasfilm exec, I'm looking at that numbers thinking, okay, there's a dying itch for us to get back in theater. We need to start pumping this out. But that's just my opinion.
I think that's a great take. And it further shows us how desperately fans want Star Wars in the theater. You know, I mean, 100%. You think about those people who were in Canada who got to see parts of, or they watched Obi-Wan leading up to the finale.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it was anyway. And that indicator plus the Rogue One indicator ought to tell us something.
Definitely. Well, let's get into the notes. Okay. I took some notes of the Cassian Andor moments and maybe just different things that we could take from this film that we still love to this date and apply to that Andor series. And DJ, I mean, unless there's any other thing that I'm missing over or glossing over as far as just general thoughts on the film, was there you did it again. You did I got to quit saying general the rest of this episode. I think we did get some response, though, as far as other people's thoughts on Rogue One to this date, 6 years later. You got any of those that you want to read and share to the show?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's do that. Let's do that before we get into the Andor specific stuff. Let's, like we said, revisit Rogue One and share our love for that film first. Apologies for trying to move too quickly. I'm like the major domo. Apologies.
No, it's all good. So, I've mentioned this on the show before. I run a Facebook group called Rebel Alliance Theological Seminary, and it's mostly for memes, and I realize that. But whenever new shows come out, I always put up a spoiler thread, and we discuss all these new episodes. And today, Caleb actually sent out a tweet about Rogue One thoughts 6 years later on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And I just basically copied and pasted into Facebook and ran down, just wanted to see what people in the group thought. And a lot of resounding just, oh my gosh, I love this movie. And it's already been 6 years and stuff like that. You get a lot of stuff like, oh, it's real solid. It's a great film. And a couple of weird little things, weird to me. But there's one individual in the group said that the non-Jedi Force user idea was weird.
Okay.
And I kind of forgot about that. And then I had to think real hard about it. I was like, I guess he's talking about Chirrut Imwe.
I think so.
But he's not a Force sensitive individual. He's a guardian of the wills, which is something that Lucas set up before A New Hope ever even came out.
I think that's something that honestly, I think it may have been before you came on the show, but a debate that we've had on Mando Talk before is how much in tune was Chirrut with the Force. I think
Sure.
there's arguments to both sides, honestly, but I kind of like the
That's
idea
fair.
of him just being so religious and connected to this idea of the Force that the Force just sometimes works in miraculous and mysterious ways, but that doesn't necessarily make him a Force user. It's more so the Force taking over that user rather than the user manipulating the Force, if that makes sense. I don't know.
I think that makes sense. I look at it more in a religious sense where there are individuals in the Star Wars galaxy who view the Force as their God or
Right.
their religion.
Yeah, and I think
yeah.
Lor Santeca at the beginning of Force Awakens, I think
Okay.
there's something about him in like a visual dictionary or something that he's like, it's like a church of the Force almost, or there's a tip,
didn't know
there's an
that.
actual term for it that I'm totally missing and dropping
Wow,
the
I
ball
didn't know
on.
that.
But there's definitely those ideas and ideology out there for sure in the galaxy.
Well, that's really cool. Just another little point to build off of Chirrut. But
Yeah.
I love Chirrut anyway. I wish that they would have saved Donnie Yen to be
he's
like an
great.
actual Jedi.
Mhm.
But give him I was thinking about this today rewatching it. Give the guy a mask. Let him be an alien. Give him a lightsaber. It's
Sure.
all good.
Yeah.
No one will know the difference. Someone else in the Facebook group said, and by the way, there's like 40 comments here. I'm not going to read all 40 comments.
Good call.
There's no reason for that.
Good
but
call.
this individual said, I still believe it's one of the best of the 11 films. He left out, I think Clone Wars, so 12.
Fair.
But I'm always giving love to the Clone Wars movie.
That's okay.
'Cause no one ever does.
I'm one of those that doesn't
I
give
know.
love to that one.
I get it. But I remember that theatrical release. It was a lot of fun. And he says that it's right up there with 5 and 6 really well-made movies. And I really do agree with that.
I agree as well.
The man behind the Mando Talk theme, Jonathan Hare, he revealed to me over the weekend, because I got to spend the weekend with him traveling to Oklahoma and back.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me that it's difficult for him to place Rogue One above Revenge of the Sith. But
Agreed.
I think his ranking is Revenge of the Sith, then Rogue One, and then Empire.
Man,
he has it high on his list.
I'm surrounded by people that think very highly of Rogue One.
Do you not?
Oh no, I think very highly of it. I don't know if it's in my
good to hear.
top.
I mean,
I don't know if it's
probably
in
not
my
your
top.
3.
I don't know.
I know you too well. It's not in your top 3.
Empire, Revenge,
Yeah.
A New Hope, The
Yeah.
Force Awakens.
Yeah. I knew Force Awakens was in your top 5. I knew it.
Rogue One might finish out my top 5.
That's a good top
It
5
might.
list, though. That's like a good guide to Star Wars, is that top 5.
There's so many days too though where it changes. So many.
I'm that way too. There's days where I'm like, Mandalorian is the greatest thing in Star Wars.
Sure.
And there's other days where I'm like Jake Lloyd Anakin, there's no other Anakin. I'm just that way sometimes.
Yeah.
So and then there's days where I'm like Jar Jar Binks. Yes. I do that sometimes. So I get you there. Well, there's a lot of really good comments in here.
But mostly positive. Mostly positive about Rogue One.
Generally
6
positive.
years later.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even, if there's a split in the like it, don't like it from this Facebook group, I'd say it's 80-20.
I'm not surprised by that. Not surprised by that at all.
Yeah, and then for me, final thoughts for me, again,
Yeah.
it's still one of my favorite movies.
It's a good one.
It's one of my favorite movies, plain and simple. It's just a lot of, it's a fun movie. It's a very insightful and exciting. I don't know, there's a lot of adjectives I could throw in there, but Rogue One's awesome.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Okay, now let's dive deeper into this film that we are all in agreement is still great, still good, but specifically with this deep dive. There's the phrase I'm looking for. With this deep dive into Rogue One, specifically, we're trying to draw out things that we can connect to Cassian Andor and his story coming up this month on Disney Plus.
Gosh.
All right, here we go.
Hard to believe.
I'm just going to go in order as far as when I wrote these notes down. It might not be linear order with the film, but there are
one
things
thing
that
that I'd like
thought
to
of.
point out.
Okay. Okay.
I have a little Rogue One shrine going on back here.
Rightfully so. It's very
if you guys
thematic.
can see it. If you're not watching this on YouTube, you should be. You should be, first of all. And by the way, all of our new subscribers, hi, hello.
What
you
up,
guys
new
are awesome.
subs?
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, you are.
But I got me a Shore Trooper.
I love that thing.
I love the Shore Trooper. It's such a cool design. I typically will choose it on Battlefront 2 when I play. And then I've got a Cassian Andor Funko, a K2SO
Like it.
Funko.
Like it.
And then my buddy Larry, shout out to Larry.
Larry.
He got me this Disney Elite Cassian Andor figure, which weighs like a pound. It's heavy. It's really weird. It's because he got a great deal on it. The guy did not know what he had whenever he sold it to Larry. So sorry, dude. But that's actually all of my Rogue One stuff. That's it. Oh, except for I have the Rogue One album on vinyl. I have the whole soundtrack on vinyl.
Nice. Very nice.
And that was a really cool get.
Yeah.
So if you want that, you can actually buy it on the Disney shop.
Well, there you go.
It's available there. It's really cool. And then Mondo Media did a release of it recently, and they have a special thing for it too. But anyway, I just want to point all that out because I love my Rogue One stuff, and I just want to share it with everybody.
There you go. Hey, plug it when you can. Plug it when you can.
Absolutely.
Okay, first thing that I took note on from Rogue One. Stylistically, I think that Rogue One and Andor are going to be very similar. From the trailer alone with Andor, we've seen examples of wide shots. We've seen wide shots displaying the beauty of the galaxy, scale of objects, for example, locations, landmarks, Star Destroyers, etc. And that's something that you can kind of see in Rogue One. And so that was just the first big takeaway that I had is I think Andor stylistically, it's going to fit very well with Rogue One. And admittedly, still kind of thinking of Rogue One in general, there's a lot of people, and rightfully so, that believe Rogue One is the most beautiful film in the Star Wars franchise. And I would say so far with what we've seen in the Andor trailer, Andor is already making a very strong case for the most beautiful Star Wars television show to date. So they're just lining up perfectly as far as stylistically. What do you think about that point? Anything else you want to add to that?
Just that you're right, absolutely right. I think a lot of people are correct to say it's the most beautiful in scope as far as cinematography is concerned for a film in Star Wars.
I just love the wide shots. Like you just get a general sense of the scale of how massive the Death Star is. I said it again. Golly, how massive the Death Star is in relation to the planet, in relation to the Star Destroyer, and I get those senses. Especially with that shot of that Star Destroyer flying over the landscape and the first shot of the Andor trailer, I just get that sense that they're really wanting to make the galaxy feel massive in this thing, and I'm here for that for sure.
Yeah, I think that the political scope, lends itself to those types of shots because we're getting into a different political landscape than really what we've seen in Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Hints of it there's only been hints of it in the post Disney era. We get a little bit in A New Hope,
right? What
that was like. And then I guess if you really want to dig into the deleted scenes of Revenge of the Sith, but there's still a 19-year gap there. Mm-hmm. And it's really been filled in quite a bit in really fun ways that allow for these kinds of moments that we're going to see, like you mentioned, the Star Destroyer flying overhead, because there is a one-part balance, I think, with this story where it's very, very much fixated on the political landscape of Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And when I say political, I mean in the realm, in the world of Star Wars, not necessarily in our world. But also, there's the invasion side of things. I think a lot about the Roman Empire when I think about the Empire and Star Wars because they're not very dissimilar. So for me, I think that those shots that you've mentioned really lend itself to that in a very weird and roundabout way. But still, I think we can see where I'm coming from there.
I definitely see it. I definitely see that for sure. Okay, next point. Cassian's introduction. Just the teases of dirtiness in that one scene where he just kills that dude.
Yes.
I think that's a definite connection and tie-in to the things that the rebellion expects from their spies, from their, I don't know,
just their people.
From their peeps. From their peeps. They expect them to get down and dirty, and Cassian definitely does so. And Cassian's facial expressions, shout out to Diego Luna, by the way, in this scene, but the facial expressions after killing the guy, you can definitely tell he's been through some things. and has definitely seen some things. So we're going to see him go through those things in this series, which is very exciting. Very exciting. What did you think of Cassian's intro in Rogue One?
His introduction in Rogue One, I think, is the number one key to understanding who Cassian is in the Andor series. Because of that grittiness.
You think
and
it's the
because
number one thing?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, truly. And I actually did write that down earlier today.
Yeah.
And really, I may come back to this later, so I'll say it now, but and I'm going to read it word for word as I wrote it. But the key to understanding Cassian Andor is going to be in not just this scene, but the interrogation scene on the base of Yavin.
Okay.
And everything that leads up to Galen Erso's death in Rogue One.
Fair.
Everything that leads up to that, that's what you have to know about Cassian.
Yeah.
In order for this series to make sense to you, I think.
Fair.
But his introduction as a whole, I love that scene. It shows us exactly who
good.
Cassian is, and it gets to the point. It's great.
So good. And just to further that point real quickly is the fact that, and you kind of alluded to it, on Yavin, he's instructed to kill Galen Erso.
Yes.
And he's going to do it. He plans to do it.
And I think he fights with that, though.
Oh, for sure.
You know, I mean, up until the moment.
And
now,
I think
until
that's,
they even leave Eden.
I think that's a note that I later have. So, but I think with my note that I have, we dive into it a little bit differently. But I think what helps him come to this realization or internal struggle, obviously, is Jyn. I think he would have easily just shot Galen had he not met Jyn.
Yeah, the element of family being involved automatically makes it way harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, funnily enough, I think of the movie The Pacifier with Vin Diesel.
Okay.
Because he's not just caring for anybody. It's not just a hostage exchange or a get them out of the bad situation. He has to care for these people.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe I'm comparing Diego Luna to Vin Diesel right now, but you know, Cassian has to be kind of like that. He has to make sure that Jyn is at one point not going to interfere with what he has to do, but he does develop a care for her. I think also platonically, I'm not shipping them. Okay. But you know, I think that's something that really comes about where there is this, almost like, you know, brother, sisters in arms kind of deal. Yeah. And I really like that.
Absolutely. Next point that I have here, so disappointed that we're not going to see our boy K2SO. But
don't bring that up, man.
But in light of the recent news that season 2 is going to cover 4 years, 1,000% sure he's coming in season 2. So we don't have to be massively disappointed. And with that in mind, I'm actually more, I don't know, I say this now that we're a month away or less than a month once you hear our lovely voices. I'm excited about just an Andor not with a K2SO attached to his hip story. I'm excited to see where that goes, but I will miss Alan Tudyk's performance and delivery as K2SO. Really, really enjoy.
Don't forget though,
droid.
he did say he was coming back for season 2.
Right. So he has confirmed it.
Well, I mean, Star Wars News Network reported that like over a year ago.
I think you're right.
So you know, we know K2's coming in season 2. The season 2 will be K2's season. The season
K2? 2 of K2.
Season K2.
S2 K2. Yes.
All right, whatever.
Something like that.
I'm trying to make a little joke. I can't think of it. But you're right. Alan
season
Tudyk
2 will be K2's.
It will be. It'll be K2 season straight up. No, I agree with you about Alan Tudyk. He is the best. And when you watch Rogue One, he is the soul.
Oh, yeah.
K2 is kind of the funny soul of the movie.
Oh, and you sense it as soon as he, grabs Jyn and slams her down and says, stop resisting. You're trying to, we're saving you or something like that.
Yeah. Congratulations. You are
that's it.
Let me see if I can't put on my British accent.
Uh-oh.
Congratulations. You are being rescued. Please do not resist. That was a little too C-3PO-ish.
Blue Harvest Bricks, please roast this man. Please roast him. Hey, by the way, you can roast him in Discord. That link is in the description wherever you're listening to this. Okay.
Be roasted on most platforms.
That fair. Fair. We've all been roasted on many platforms.
True.
Okay, next point here that I've got.
Oh boy.
Cassian has to make a massive impression on the rebellion in order to be in the same room as Mon Mothma. I mean, come on. We've got to see him really get through the ranks quickly in this Andor series for him to even be able to breathe the same air as Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, and those type of individuals in the rebellion.
Yeah.
They really got to think highly, very highly of Cassian, and I think ultimately that's what season 1's going to be all about, is just showing how he climbs those ranks so quickly and how he's so skilled and talented in the things that he does.
Ooh, I don't know if that'll happen in season 1.
Okay. I think we might
yeah.
get into predictions there. I'll save that for later.
That's fair. Okay, you know what? I'll save that too. But I think you make a great point about him in Rogue One in that he is Bail and Mon Mothma's boy. Like, that's the guy, you know? Like, you need, I don't even know how to put it. Like, that's their SEAL Team 6, you know? Like,
yeah,
that's their ultimate, you know, warrior to get their stuff done. And Cassian's great at that. Yep. Clearly. I mean, he has no problem capping a dude in an alley, obviously.
No.
I mean, that's the point I'm trying to make here. And that's what we're going to see in the Andor series. But what's awesome about Diego Luna's portrayal of him is, you know, thinking about the trailer a little bit, and even with these political elements, like you mentioned, we're going to see him just resent the Empire so much.
Yeah, we are.
That it's going to get us to what we see in Rogue One, which is just really cool to think about. Also, 100%. Quick sidebar. I don't know if you plan on bringing this up or not.
Okay.
Bail Organa in Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
Rogue One. Do you have this later on?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'm bringing it up now.
Okay, do it.
Bail Organa has exactly, 3 scenes in the whole of Rogue One.
Yeah.
Comes out of the shadows in the first half, and in the back half, we see him twice.
Uh-huh.
And when he has this conversation with Mon Mothma and goes, your friend, the Jedi,
right?
Immediately
thinking
thought
of
about
Kenobi.
Everything from Kenobi.
Yep.
And I never thought Kenobi would hit me in the middle of Rogue One like it did. And it was just like, oh my gosh, it was, and even Vader stuff too. I mean, it's so cool to think about. We may come back on that later. I just wanted to throw that in there right now.
We definitely might. But I mean, coming up quick here, actually. Speaking of Mon Mothma, though, can't wait to see her start building this rebellion. We definitely have those teases of her formulating that idea, but that gets me to Bail Organa. He's a pretty important piece from what we know canonically of the start of the rebellion. So the question that I have is, our boy Jimmy Smits going to make another appearance? Because I feel like he, at least from the canon that we know of to date, he almost has to show up.
Yeah, he didn't have a choice.
All right, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, we get him in Rogue One. We get him in Rebels. We get him in Revenge of the Sith, you know, and even Kenobi now. So it doesn't make any sense to have the story of the rebellion being built without him. Mm-hmm. Because who were your top 3 rebellion builders from Revenge of the Sith deleted scenes? Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, and Padme freaking Amidala.
Yep.
Okay. Shout out to the Queen.
And
all right. So
I think Andor the creators are so well aware of that scene too. And I think they're gonna make a point to almost kind of recreate it, but make it better in a sense. So can't wait for that.
It'll de-canon the deleted scene, and I mean that like in a not in like a bad way,
right?
In just a way that's like,
I think it's great.
Here's what it is.
Yeah.
And this is what we needed to get to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that kind of deal.
Absolutely. All right. I think that was my Bail Organa note that I kind of expect to see him show up at this point.
I do too.
I mean,
if
why not?
Season 1 eventually.
He's already committed to Kenobi. That made sense in the story, but also I would argue it makes even more sense that he needs to be there at the start of the rebellion for sure.
I agree. Unless Diego Luna's character is from where what's it called in Mon Mothma's planet, Trangilla. Man,
yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't remember. I'm gonna Google it and then maybe shout it out later.
There you go.
I gotta find out.
All right, my next point with Saul Guerrero being officially confirmed for Andor. Is there a chance we're on this appearance train? This is kind of after I thought of Bail Organa. Could he be appearing? I went to the next. Okay,
it's a good train to get on.
Could this character be appearing? With Saul being confirmed for Andor, is there a chance for a young Jyn appearance, and not necessarily just a look at her, but maybe a dialogue allusion to her, like when Saul's talking with I'm blanking on Stellan Skarsgård, Luthen. I think Stellan Skarsgård's character is called Luthen. When he's having that conversation with Luthen in the trailer, could it potentially come up that he currently has this young girl that he's watching over for Galen Erso, the guy that they're taking? No, I don't think that would make sense. I'm kind of brainstorming as I say this, but basically, young Jyn Erso make an appearance, yes or no?
No.
Okay. I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that, but I wanted to make sure to see if that was a possibility that you saw.
No, and it's definitely a possibility I can see, but it makes zero sense for Cassian's story, and it'll make all the shippers feel really uncomfortable.
Yes, it would.
So let's
they would be the same age. This would be around the same age.
Would they be?
Yeah.
Are they the same age?
Are they not? No, they're not. I think Cassian's a good. How much older is he than Jyn?
Well, this
Come
actually
on, fact check me.
Yeah,
because I feel like if they're close in age, and maybe Stellan Skarsgård's character is having that conversation with Saul whenever we see Cassian at a young age in the show, it could line up.
Okay, so Cassian Andor is supposed to be 26 in Rogue One.
Okay.
Which I had him pegged to like 36. But I think Jin's like 20 or 19.
Okay.
So it's 21. So it's not that weird. It's a 5-year difference,
sure.
But that's fair. I think I'm looking at like young Jyn is who we saw as like a 10-year-old.
Right.
And I can't imagine Cassian being, oh crap, he actually might be a 15-year-old in the show.
Yeah. With what we've seen in the trailers.
Oh man, now I'm questioning myself.
I think that's why I put it, but I still agree that I don't think she shows up.
Well, it's not her show.
Right. Of course, with the Rogue One creators involved, I figured, maybe they want to make a connection to this character.
I can see them making a connection. I personally would see, not even rather, I think it's more likely that Bail and Chirrut, not Bail, Chirrut and what's the other guy's name?
Baze.
Malbus. Yeah, Baze Malbus.
Yeah,
I think those two come back.
I love
before Jyn Erso does.
Absolutely
because they're
love them.
And maybe a return to Jeddah. I don't know. We'll see.
There you go. Okay, my last appearance question. Director Krennic, yes or no? Ben Mendelsohn's phenomenally acted and performed director. I love that character. I want more, honestly. I just wish that I could get that shot of him walking through the water with that cape. I know that was a deleted scene, part of that whole crazy behind-the-scenes stuff that went on.
That nobody really knows anything about.
I loved that shot. I
remember.
I wish I could get that shot, honestly, framed and put up on the wall.
You probably
Such a cool shot. Love it. Anyway,
I'm sure
Director Krennic, yes or no, in the show?
Very possible.
I think so, too.
I think it's very possible. I think it's more likely than Tarkin.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But I can see Tarkin potentially making a at least a mention.
Yeah,
by name. But
I
Krennic's
think
more likely.
I think if we get Krennic, it's at the end of the season.
Oh, set up a season 2 situation.
Yeah, set up a season 2.
That'd be kind of neat. I'd like that. I mean, that would be good to go and coincide with a K2SO appearance.
Another idea that I had, because I think later in my notes, I just asked the question of, oh, actually, no, I'm going to hold on to that one. There's a tease. Okay. Stick around for the episode, guys. Stick around.
I like it.
Keep listening.
I like it.
Okay, moving on. Moving away from the appearance segment there.
Yeah.
Cassian is definitely not a massive believer in the Force. He kind of displays that whenever he's imprisoned at Saul Guerrero's camp. There's kind of like a comment about, he doesn't really rely on the Force. Yeah, it's whatever. It's whatever. He acknowledges it, but he's not concerned with it at all. Which lends itself, for me at least, to a no Force user series. I kind of want that personally. What say you?
No, you don't want any Force users?
None.
Well, we did just get a lot in Obi-Wan.
Right.
And
I want this to be so dirty and gritty and down to earth, and it just feels like, okay, if we were in the Star Wars galaxy, this is where we would be. This is what we would be having to go through. So with that said, I don't want any Force users in this one.
It's something I mean, that's a fine take. I'm not going to argue with you because you don't want that, but I will say that it would be odd to not have mention of the Force.
Oh, yeah, I think there will be a mention of it for sure.
Yeah, and I think anybody would have to be crazy to say otherwise. But remember, we do see clones in the trailer, which could potentially lead to a Order 66 situation.
Interesting.
So, I mean, they did it in Obi-Wan. It made sense in Obi-Wan. It didn't. It made zero sense, in my opinion, for Book of Boba Fett, but they still did it.
They're doing it in everything.
Yeah, and Bad Batch kind of.
And there's still people out there that want more. There's people out there that want an Order 66 movie.
I just think. Oh gosh, that'd be a good fan movie, honestly.
Yeah.
I think a good fan made movie would be an Order 66 movie, but.
Hey, if you want that, I'm not trying to come at you, but I feel like we get enough Order 66 content.
I like seeing more of Order 66. Just because it adds to the scope of the downfall of the Jedi and the rise of the Sith, and that's really what we're dealing with ultimately here in Andor is the rise of the Sith. And you don't get the rise of the Sith without the death of the Jedi. And so once you get through all of that, overarching stuff, you then get down to Cassian Andor. Now they probably won't, dissect that a ton, but it's important, I think, to at least mention and remember.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think that anybody could say otherwise to that. I think that you have to at least acknowledge that it's there before you can move past it. But to say that there won't be a Force user, I'll take a 50-50 split on it.
Okay.
I just, I'm not against it. I'm not for it.
Sure.
And if it happens, great. If it doesn't, I'm not going to be upset because I don't necessarily expect it.
Yeah.
I guess. But it'd be fun.
I like that. I like that for sure. All right, here we go. Jyn, in my opinion, pulls the good out of Cassian in this film. Can we agree on that?
Totally agree.
Do we see the rebellion demands and stresses make Cassian have severe internal demons then to kind of get him to this point?
What do you mean? Can you flesh that out a little bit?
Because he makes these decisions that you could make an argument that maybe he's not as good as you think, I mean, some people could say that. Especially the beginning.
I can see where you
the beginning of the movie when he kills the dude. You're like, okay, are the rebellions is the Rebel Alliance really good? What's going on here? But like if Jin's pulling the good out of Cassian, then there's got to be bad in there. And where does he develop this bad, or at least this internal clashing that he's dealing with? That's kind of what I'm getting at. You see what the question is kind of geared toward?
Yeah, okay. I do now. I think, whatever Cassian
I was trying to get really deep and philosophical with that one.
No, and that's why I needed it. I love philosophy. I just need it dumbed down for me. That's a true fact about me. I do actually enjoy philosophy. I think it's fun, but I need it in layman's terms most of the time. I will say that I think whatever inner demons Cassian deals with is a result of his past as a kid and teenager. We know he's 5 years older than Jyn, which would make him now we do. But puts him at like 15 at the beginning of Rogue One, give or take, and that's kind of the beginning of Andor is what I'm assuming. Or at least in flashbacks, if that kid in that trailer is actually
1,000% it's him. 1,000%.
Okay. I mean, if it's not, oh well. But like,
we got something wrong. What's new?
Whatever, we get stuff wrong every episode. So except that one time with the sand people on the speeders. But I will always bring that back.
Fair.
Anyway, oh man. But regardless, no, I can see where you're at. If it happens in that respect, I'm not. It's not like for me. I am very open to what they have for this series.
Sure.
Because and I was that way with Mandalorian. I was very open to what they had because at the very beginning of Mando, they were like no Boba, and I was like, okay, but he still looks like Boba. I can live with that. And then they brought in Boba.
Yeah.
And with Cassian, it's like we have Rogue One, so it's like they don't bring in Jyn Erso. I don't want them to bring in Jyn Erso, like hypothetically.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, Jyn Erso's here. Cool. I'm not gonna be, upset about that as long as it doesn't disrupt canon. That's kind of where I kind of am gonna land. I think at the end of the day.
I get it. Absolutely get it. No, I like that response. Like I said, I was really just kind of trying to get deep with that one. But I do think we'll at least see, like you said, things that Cassian goes through as a kid. I think that's really going to be what has massive impact. And also then basically that's his informing of every decision that then continues out throughout the show. He's acting in response to that.
I mean, yes and no, because you said something a minute ago, like maybe what the rebellion has him do is what makes him so cynical. You didn't say those exact words. That's just what I
along
kind of
the lines.
interpreted.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
And I think that what you just said is the moments that he has as a kid make him cynical.
Okay.
And that's why he does what he does for the rebellion.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm starting to think, as we're kind of talking this out, I think what happens to him as a kid just makes him hate the Empire so much that he's willing to do things that tiptoe that line of, and is he really acting good or acting bad, almost in a sense.
Yeah,
okay.
I have to agree with that. I
think we're starting to get there. Our wheels are turning. All right, next up, this was a massive dialogue scene for Diego Luna and Cassian Andor, of course, is following Galen's death when he gives some insight regarding, his background to Jyn. So I'm just going to read these quotes. You're in shock and looking for a place to put it. I've seen it before. Let me pause there. That tells me that he's going to see some things go down in the Andor series for sure. That because he's seen this reaction out of other people. People are looking to put blame somewhere else. We're going to see that happen, at least in my opinion. I had orders I disobeyed, but you wouldn't understand that. We're going to see Cassian do some orders that maybe he doesn't feel confident in doing, but he still does them. That's kind of my interpretation with that quote. We don't all have the luxury of deciding when and where we want to care about something. Suddenly, the rebellion is real for you. Man, I need to do a better job of writing. Some of us live it. I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. That's my quote, man. That hurt the ears.
That's my quote. I love that quote.
You're not the only one who lost everything. Yeah, that's definitely going to connect to his childhood. Unfortunately, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
Some of us just decided to do something about it. I think that directly connects to what we were just saying.
Yeah.
He has decided to act in that way, towing that line because of the things that he has gone through, and he's just made that decision. Other people don't make that decision, but Cassian is willing to make that decision. What are your takeaways? I kind of paused after each quote to kind of give my thoughts on it, how it would connect to Andor as I went, but anything you want to add?
I mean, I thought the same thing when I watched it today. It was just like watching that scene go down. I was like, this is his childhood. Mm-hmm. And I mean it. I meant it when I said earlier that scene in the alley is kind of our best indication of what Cassian's going to be like in this show. When I said that, I meant in the role of a spy.
Okay. Sure.
Kind of forgot about him being a kid. Not going to lie to you. Because I'm just like, Diego Luna. Like, I love Diego Luna. So it's like, come on, but I think this is a good indication, the best indication from Rogue One.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's literally the only indication as to what his childhood was like.
100%.
And he says he was in the fight since he was 6 years old. We're going to watch his parents die, guys.
I think so, too. Yep.
And it's just like...
Well, isn't that confirmed at this point?
I don't know. Is it?
I don't know.
I mean, if it wasn't, that's great.
Okay, I've read rumors. Actually, you know what? I don't want to say it because I don't want people that are trying to avoid all things Andor, I don't want you to be spoiled with something. I've just heard things regarding Cassian might see some bad stuff go down as a child, but we've definitely teased that with just our general comments as we've gone throughout this show.
Yeah, I mean, they did it with Mando. I mean, what's different about this?
Fair. Very fair.
I'm just saying. I just can't get over the fact that he's 26 years old in Rogue One. He looks like he's 40.
Come on, Diego.
I'm
Luna,
28.
you gotta.
Aren't you 26, Caleb?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, see, you're the same age as Cassian in Rogue
There's
One
no
right
way.
now.
No
you don't
shot.
look 40. You
No
don't look
shot.
40. He looks 40. I'm just saying, I can't get over that, man.
Yeah, that is that
gosh.
doesn't line up. That doesn't.
No,
line up.
but you asked me about those quotes. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
let me try to steer it back to that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm the one who puts us on the rabbit trail. I realize that. Okay, to all of our listeners, I'm sorry. That's why some of y'all are just out there like, man, DJ, shut up. I know, I'm sorry, but anyway. No, these quotes are great, of course, but I've said this before. The one, and my first time on Mando Talk, I said this. The reason I love Cassian is that line. I've been in the fight since I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
It transcends the story of Cassian Andor.
Sure.
And comes out into the Star Wars world where so many of us have loved Star Wars since we were kids.
Yeah.
And then for me, you see people hop on the bandwagon because, I think Pedro Pascal's sexy. Well, that's great, but you clearly only watch it for one thing. And half the time, it's not even him in the suit. I'm going to get off that train right now.
Man.
But,
all right, well, I'm going to take a different approach. I'll welcome anybody in the train. If you want to become a Star Wars fan because you think Pedro Pascal is sexy, by all means, become a Star Wars fan.
That's a stupid reason to become a Star Wars fan.
Nah,
it's a stupid reason.
It's a great reason. Anyway, no, great dialogue, great scene, great moments. Diego Luna's delivery, top notch, and I expect nothing less once we actually see the Andor show. Okay, next point. Jin says, rebellions are built on hope. Of course, that's a quote that Cassian said earlier in the film, but something that I made note here is when she says that, Mon Mothma and Bail Organa immediately give a subtle look at each other. And so I just put beside this, why? And so this might just be crazy theories here. I think it's possible that we could see this quote, rebellions are built on hope, somehow represented in this show, and maybe it's the rallying cry that starts this whole thing. Maybe it's just a phrase that Mon Mothma and Bail and everyone kind of behind the scenes in the rebellion share with each other. They just in passing, hey, instead of may the force be with you, it's, hey, rebellions are built on hope. And that's just kind of how they say deuces to each other. I don't know. I'm getting really speculative with that one. What do you think about that possibility, DJ? What are you trying to do over there?
You said that, and I ran to Disney Plus because
there you go.
because I had to come watch this deleted scene called "Seeds of the Rebellion" from Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, okay.
When you said rebellions are built on hope, the first thing I thought of was, okay, is that something Padme maybe says that we missed or something?
Oh,
and I'm sitting here, it'd be absolutely insane if they did that, but. I'm watching it, and they are not really like referencing that at all as I'm sitting here. I mean, they're really just talking about the Chancellor here a whole lot. Right. To the credit of what you're asking, the fact that they do go and look at one another in that moment.
It's just so immediate. That's what threw me off about it.
I think that their point is that they are trying to. Oh, man, I don't know. I think that they want to. How do I put this? In when they wrote and shot Rogue One, I think that they were making a point to say, look, it's all coming together.
Gotcha. Yeah. And
I think that's why they did that. And it was also a nod to the fans watching as like hey, rebellions are built on hope.
Right.
It sets up the line for Leia at the end of the movie.
Right. You're probably right. I'm just,
I know that we can dig into that a little bit because that's the great thing about films and this media is that we can always come back around and reinterpret certain things, especially in a world where it's constantly building towards something.
Right.
We keep adding to the story and the structure. And because of that, it really lends itself to what they're trying to accomplish. With the canon and with everything. So it makes perfect sense that you would think that. I'm not at all surprised that's something that you would consider or think of. I think it makes absolutely perfect sense that you would say, is there more to that? Yeah. And I for now, I will say, yes, there is more to that.
Hey, I would love it. I would just love that subtle connection, the seeds that just go go on throughout. All right, my next point, we won't spend long on this, but I just wanted to let everybody know I learned something new watching Rogue One, a Star Wars story, this go around. Why am I just now learning that they make an announcement for General Syndulla to come to the
You
briefing
didn't know
room?
that?
I did not know that. I knew Chopper.
Did you see Chopper?
I knew Chopper was seen, but
Did you
I
see the
did not
ghost?
know. Yes, I've seen the ghost. I've seen Chopper, but I did not know that Hera was specifically announced on the
Dude.
intercom until this watch.
How'd you miss that?
You learn something new every time. You learn something new every time.
I feel so sorry for you that you've gone this
Hey, I
long
like
without
it.
knowing that knowledge.
I'm glad that I just now learned because it just
well,
gives me an
okay.
opportunity to enjoy that watching compared to other
That's
times,
great.
I guess.
I mean, that's great that you finally found it. I'm actually just now I'm looking at this scene over here on my other screen because I want to see this quick look that they give each other. Boom.
I got you.
You're right. They
It's
straight up
assumed.
do look right at each
As
other.
soon
I mean,
as she says
Mon
it.
Mothma's like, she said it. It's
Right.
working. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
something to that.
Just think about it, guys. In a normal conversation, you don't just immediately both at the same exact time have the same exact look on your face when somebody says rebellions are built on hope. That's not a thing. You don't act that way.
That wasn't mentioned in Obi-Wan, was it?
I don't think so.
Okay, here's what they're going to do with that scene.
Okay.
They're going to take that scene and they're going to wiggle it into Andor in some way that it like it permeates throughout the series. And so they're going to say it to one another and it's going to get passed down. And then eventually Cassian's going to say it to Jen and Jen's going to say it to a room full of people. And I think that because Cassian's this inner circle with Mon Mothma and the upper level generals and admirals of the rebellion and Bail and all that, there's got to be something to that I don't know, it just speaks to this scene a little bit in some way or another.
We shall
I sure
see.
hope so. All
right, well, I've got 2 more points, and since we want to hit predictions, we'll probably hit predictions really quickly, but since we are kind of getting to our hour mark, but I got 2 more points for us to dive into here. The next thing that I have written is this quote from Cassian. This is when he agrees to go with Jyn to Scarif. We've all done terrible things on behalf of the rebellion. Spies, saboteurs, assassins. Everything I did for the rebellion. And every time I walk away from something I wanted to forget, I told myself it was for a cause that I believed in. A cause that was worth it. Without that, we're lost. Everything we've done would have been for nothing. I couldn't face myself if I gave up now. I think this is, again, more dialogue that connects to the things that we've been discussing. He does these things for the rebellion that he admittedly knows toes that line. And I feel like that's the phrase of this episode because I've said it so many times. But in a general sense, this rebellion cause gets started by towing that line and doing just enough to stay on the good side, but getting really close to getting really down and dirty and into business. But that's what starts it all. And I think these quotes kind of finalize that from Cassian, that everything he did for the rebellion. And every time he would walk away from something he wanted to forget, he told himself it was for a cause that he believed in. I think that perfectly sums up his motives and the motives that we're eventually going to see in this Andor show. What say you?
I say yes.
Yes.
I say absolutely. I mean, he's everything he's done has led to this moment. And I think, a lot of times in movies we see this, but let's like abandon movie world real quick and adopt this is the world we live in. People live for these kinds of moments where, like, when you can live in a moment and say everything I've done is built to this. And I think that occasionally that happens in all of our lives. Maybe I would hope so. But when you see that with Cassian, it's really cool because it does crescendo, if you will, to that moment where he's like, everything I've done, everything has led to this. This is, I mean, and maybe the ghost of Cassian's like, what the heck? There's a second Death Star. But but still, when you look at Rogue One and A New Hope side by side, you're like, everything he did,
right,
laid it out there. And I love that. I think that's another reason why I love Cassian so much. But
absolutely.
I think you're absolutely right. And that'll definitely, we'll see that building in Andor as the seasons go by.
And that actually kind of connects to my final point here, is that I sense Cassian's ending in this film, in Rogue One, will feel even more poetic once we see everything he's actually been through with the rebellion, rather than just kind of hearing allusions to it through conversation. We're actually going to physically get to watch and see the things that he has to face and internally battle and things like that he kind of summed up in that comment that we just discussed, that he was saying to Jen before he went to Scarif. I really enjoyed just doing that, man. That I feel like I am prepared for Andor at this point. We
What
did
sucks is that
secretly.
we
We
have,
kind of
like,
just did a deep character dive there, just from Rogue One.
A little bit. And what sucks is that we have almost a month before it comes out. That's
Well, hey, when people are hearing this, we have less than a month.
That's
so
true.
get hyped.
We have less than a month than what I said 5 seconds ago. Right. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
I'm gonna have to find me a Rogue One something T-shirt or whatever before this. I've actually bought. This is really sad. I've bought a T-shirt for every series that's premiered except Book of Boba Fett. That's the only one I didn't buy a T-shirt for. I need to go. I got to get me a Boba Fett shirt now.
I guess the only one that I haven't bought for is Kenobi.
Then we balanced each other out because I have the Kenobi. I bought a cheap Kenobi shirt though. It actually is starting to ruin every time I put it in the dryer. So I'm like really careful when I wear it now.
Hey.
Super huge bummer on that.
Oh well.
I'll let you guys know which one to not buy on Amazon if you follow me on Twitter. How about that?
There you go. At Rebel Scum Texan.
At Rebel Scum.
Okay.
At Mando Talk.
Let's finish the show with predictions. I won't dive too deep into these because I've just tried to prepare 4 of them. Like I teased at the top, I feel like I know nothing going into this show, and that has me very excited. Even though we know the character of Cassian Andor meets his death in Rogue One, I still don't know where this thing could go, and I'm just so pumped by that. So I can just go ahead and read all 4 of mine if you want me to, DJ.
That's great.
Okay. First prediction, the first episode, specifically in the first episode, focuses on Cassian's childhood, discovery of an evil empire, and my prediction is that we see the death of his real parents. All of that in the first episode. Any thoughts on that before I move to the next one?
Yeah, I'd say it's not the first episode, but it's spread out over multiple episodes.
Okay.
Similar to Mando.
Respect. I respect that.
Yeah.
Second
Which
prediction.
either one's fine.
Yeah, I agree. Either one's fine.
Not a problem.
I think we're definitely seeing all 3 of those at some point. I'm just trying to, be risque and say first episode, impactful. There you go.
All right, then.
All right, second prediction. And, okay, again, this could be derailed if this particular actor has said something in the press to tease that his character's coming back in Season 2. But, again, I haven't read this stuff going into the show like I've done for previous shows. So I might already be wrong, but I put second prediction was that Luthen dies. That's Stellan Skarsgård's character. But again, I can't remember or recall if Stellan Skarsgård has said, hey, we're fixing to shoot Season 2. If he has said that, then that prediction's way off. But currently not knowing anything, I'm saying he dies because I think that gives even more impact for why Cassian does the things that he does. And maybe Luthen's almost like another father figure to him eventually as he's climbing the ranks of the rebellion, and that would make that death even more impactful. So that's why I've got Luthen as meeting his doom, meeting his death in this season.
Trying to think what. Oh, I think they're gonna pull a Woody Harrelson Han Solo with him.
Okay.
Beckett. They're gonna make him the traitor.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Luthen?
Let him. Yeah. Why not?
I like that. I love
Stellan as a bad guy.
Yeah.
Like
from Dune.
Yeah, I love him. I loved him in Dune, and I love him as the lovable scientist from Thor and Avengers as well.
But his best role.
I want to see him be a bad guy. Yeah.
Bootstrap Bill Turner.
Yeah, Will turn. He's Legolas's dad. It doesn't get much better than that.
There you go.
know? No, I love him as Bootstrap Bill, actually. But actually, his best role is the jerk professor in Good Will Hunting.
Okay, fair. But his new best role is going to be Luthen.
Luthen and Cassian Andor. No, yeah, I think that he'll be the bad guy, and he will be the father figure, and he'll pull him in.
Yeah.
And he's going to try to switch him over.
Interesting.
And he's going to be like, nah. Oh, one more prediction.
Okay.
Cassian's the one that kills him.
Ooh, I like that. Hey.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
I'm just now adopting that right now.
We're getting into the, he gets down and dirty. He does what he has to do. Maybe Luthen oversteps. Exactly. He oversteps and Cassian offs him. And it hurts him. But he's got to do it for the rebellion.
It's the only choice. That's it.
All right.
For the rebellion.
Third prediction. I think I've already alluded to this. But I put 0 Force users are shown. Unless we see Palpatine seated in the Senate when Mon Mothma's in there. That's the only way we're seeing a Force user.
I bet you what they do with that is they'll do that fake hologram thing like they did in Rebels. So they can get away with not putting them in the makeup.
Sure. Interesting.
And everybody be like, wait a minute.
But that makes sense, though. That makes sense, in my opinion, because they want to make the Empire look, massive and powerful and perfect.
Yeah.
So
that may mess up. That may mess up a little bit of the Revenge of the Sith.
Sure.
Left me scarred.
Right.
Yeah. Like they may get
plastic
rid of
surgery.
that.
It's a thing.
Guess what, guys? I look good again. Anyway,
all right.
I'm only going to show up as a hologram. Get over it.
Fourth and final prediction from me, and then I'll pass it to you, DJ, to share yours. Okay. This is vague. And I think it's so evident that I have no clue where this show's going. Fourth prediction. The series will connect to the Bad Batch. Book closed. That's my last one. I think it connects to the Bad Batch in some way. And specifically, I think it'd be cool. I'm not looking for anything massive, like the Bad Batch appearing in live action. I don't think that's happening at all. But I'm blanking on his name. Maybe Admiral, is it Radis? I don't know what his name is in
the
Bad
other
Batch.
Admiral Akbar.
The other Admiral that's there.
In Rogue One?
Why did I? No.
Radis is the Mon Cala in
You're
Rogue
right.
One.
You're right. I'm thinking of Rogue One. But what's that Admiral's name in Bad Batch where he's at Tarkin's hip a lot? He's on Camino.
It does start with an R.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Admiral from Bad Batch. But specifically, I'm just thinking of something that small. If we get a connection to the Bad Batch, it's just going to be like a character that we've seen in that show.
Rampart. Vice Admiral Rampart. Yeah.
Yes. Something like that. That's what I mean by a connection to the Bad Batch. Those are my predictions. DJ, what are yours?
To be completely honest with you, because I love Cassian so much, I have forced myself not to make predictions.
Ooh, I like that. I struggled to come up with those.
Well, this is me low key abandoning that part of what we do at Mando Talk for this because I said low key.
Low key.
It's low key because I still I think I have internal predictions that I think about occasionally.
No, I respect it.
But as far as like an actual prediction goes, all of the things I really can think of are just kind of silly things like, like a robot gets blown up in the first episode type of things. Like that's where my mind goes when I think predictions. And
that's fair.
I have that silly part in me, like for instance, Jar Jar Binks, he 100% will show up in every show until he doesn't, that's just how I go about these things.
No, I get it.
I think it'd be great if you showed up in Andor. I don't see a reason for it, but it'd be fantastic. I'll say this, and I alluded to this earlier. I think we will see an Order 66 scene somewhere in this. We kind of talked about that earlier. I think Bail Organa is going to show up at some point.
Yeah.
I don't think that they will do anything with Leia.
Agreed.
I mean, according to one of the novels that she's in, she's, I think at this point in time, supposed to be like at a senatorial training academy or something.
Okay.
So I don't think that she'll be in this show much. if at all. And if they do, the only person I'd like to see player is Millie Bobby Brown.
Okay.
I'm just gonna be honest. I mean, I just finished up Stranger Things. I recant every roast I ever had of Stranger Things on this platform.
Fair enough.
Fantastic. I loved every second of it. I love Eddie so much, and Jonathan and also Steve. They're fantastic. But anyway,
There you go.
I think that, that's one thing I would be okay with now. I've officially come around to that. I think for a long time I hated the idea. After season 4 of Stranger Things, I'm like, yeah, Millie Bobby Brown can play a young Carrie Fisher. I have no problem. I have no problem with that. There may be somebody better out there.
Yeah, the one that they got in Kenobi.
Well, she's too young. She's
yeah.
too little.
Well, with that said, though, I don't think we're seeing Leia again until that actress comes back. I don't think they're going to recast her a third time.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair. I'm okay with that, or
Yeah.
they'll do that. I think that my number one, huge, for real prediction though, is gotta be Tarkin shows up.
Okay. I like it.
He's just too vital to this era of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I think that ILM wants to build on making him look better than they had him look in Rogue One, which in my opinion, he looks freaking awesome in Rogue One.
Well, and I have a comment about that. I think he looks better now in Rogue One on Disney Plus than he did when it first came out. I think they've been editing that and making it look better as technology progresses.
I don't think they have.
I think they have. It looked good on my end.
You know what? I'll bust out my 2017 Blu-ray.
Yeah,
and let
do
you
that.
know.
Maybe I'm just imagining things, or maybe I just have wishful thinking that that's what they're doing.
It looks the same to me.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
Now I remember when I saw Rogue One in theaters in 2016, my grandfather went with us, and there's a funny kick to this story. He saw Tarkin on the screen, and he was like, "That looks like the same guy." What's funny when you hear this story is that my grandfather was actually legally blind.
Gotcha.
So everything was blurry.
Yeah.
And so he had no idea it wasn't even a CGI actor. And I had to explain to him after, that was all CGI. That wasn't, that wasn't makeup. And he goes, Are you serious? And I was like, I know, it's crazy,
If it may, I mean, there's a lot of people that aren't legally blind that thought it was a real person too. So
I mean, I was fooled and I knew the guy was dead.
Yeah.
I knew Peter Cushing wasn't alive, and I was like, holy crap, it's Tarkin.
Right.
Yeah, I was just like, that's great. And when John Knoll talks about Tarkin and the behind the scenes, my heart I just start, it's just like, I'm like, yes, please, John, no, keep talking about Tarkin. I love it. I love all these behind the scenes animators and whatnot at Lucasfilm. So that's my number one biggest, I almost said hugest, biggest prediction about the show is that Tarkin's got to show up just because he showed up in Rebels.
Yeah.
He's so vital to this era.
Bad Batch.
Yes, but thank you. Bad Batch and Clone Wars, he's there too. And I think Clone Wars is really more of a just throw them a bone kind of situation with Lucasfilm when they were making it. But, really, I really think he shows up here. I mean, he's there from 3 all the way to the end of 4. I mean, he's got to be there. So that's something I really do want to see. And I'd love to watch them build upon the CGI that they had in Rogue One. I mean, it's 6 years later, probably 5, I guess, where they were at in the post-production. So, I'd love to see something new on that for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hopefully you, our listener, loved to hear Mando Talk return this month, and hopefully you want to hang out with us some more as we continue to cover Andor, but specifically, we've got even more coverage over on the YouTube channel, House of the Dragon, Rings of Power, She-Hulk, Star Wars Andor. We've got weekly content coming on that platform. It's just so much easier to do 5 to 6.
Handle it.
Yeah, there you go. 5 to 6 minute.
So much.
5 to 6 minute spoiler reviews. Just really easy to get those pumped out. So check us out on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. But thank you so much for listening to us wherever you are listening to us. It is awesome to have you guys continue to check us out. We appreciate the support so much. If you want to continue to support us in each and every single way, hit the Discord link that's down in the description. That will take you to kind of like our fam. That's what we call it. It's our, small community of diehard listeners and lovers of Star Wars and all things geek. So click that link if you want to join in on that small and positive community. If you want to follow us on social medias at Mando Talk on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And I believe that's all the plugs. I believe that is all the plugs. So I'll pass it on over to DJ Foster at Rebels Come Texan on Twitter to say his final closing words. Thank you so much for being here, DJ. Anything you want to tell our lovely audience?
Y'all are a lovely audience. No, if you guys want to, Caleb kind of said it already, but if you want to follow me on Twitter at Rebels Come Texan, by all means, or if you'd like to join my Facebook group, Rebel Alliance Theological Seminary, lots of fun Star Wars memes there. So come on over. I share the love sometimes on Twitter, but
yeah,
you get more in the Facebook group. So Caleb's a member of it. I mean, so
it's good stuff.
He doesn't post much. I'm just kidding.
No, I don't really get on Facebook that much.
You don't do Facebook though. That's fair. I mean, that's fair. Facebook is one of those things where like you either do it or you don't. And I understand that.
Right.
But if you want to join an awesome Facebook group, come on over. Don't be shy and answer our questionnaire. One of the questions is, what's your favorite thing about Star Wars? So come over there and tell us what your favorite thing about Star Wars is.
There you go. All right, DJ. I think you need to tell a bounty hunter to peace out.
Do I? Oh, yeah. Peace out, Django.
All right, let's get out of here. We can't wait to hear from you again. And until next time, as always, we have spoken.